or presents The Devil's Grip.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
None for humunguloid.
None for humunguloid. Don't kid yourself, buddy.
We're talking about the season finale, the surprise finale.
Yeah, the oh shit, we ran out of runway finale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that like is the weakest finale, but also works as an episode and is generally pretty good. This is one of those bifurcated episodes where there's like half of it I'm absolutely in love with and another half of it I'm not. Like I could watch 10 seasons of the boys with their godfathers.
Yep.
Like I could just literally watch that that could be what the show pivoted to being about. It's just Colonel Gentleman like walking Dean through his weird rituals.
Yep.
Each one weirder than the last. No additional action. No other characters show up. Just Colonel Gentleman showing Dean around Tangiers.
Mm-hmm.
Great show.
Yeah. A+ viewing.
We could do a spinoff. We'd just do a show about that.
Yeah.
You know?
and I like how game Hank is to help out his godfather, to help out Action Man. To get him some trim.
Some ancient, as long as you don't mind the sound of old people having sex. Everything with old Team Venture is always great, and all that stuff is real good. And then there's some real furniture moving exercises with the Monarch stuff.
Yeah. There's a really good emotional beat that I like. And then it's real just like let's get stuff set up for these characters to have things to do again in season 6
and complete the reset of 21.
Yes.
So this is a Doc Hammer episode, originally aired July 1st 2013. It's basically the second part of Bot Seeks Bot. The Monarch has captured Rusty, who survived from his bell injury. Just very, very injured.
His ball injury.
Ball injury and bell injury. The bell and the ball. And then, ball fell on him. A bell is foreshadowed here.
Yes.
I don't know why I was thinking there'd be like a big church bell in the middle of Don Hell's.
Turn
that into a ball.
It's a converted bomb shelter or military shelter, not a church. But there are clubs and churches. Yeah.
What is a bell tower? What is a underground silo, but a reverse bell tower?
To deafen everybody inside.
Yeah, just disco deafen. Boom. Have you ever watched a video of any of those headphone raves?
Yes, I have. It's the most upsetting. It really gives me. I don't know. It's real secondhand embarrassment.
It's really dorky.
It's
incredibly dorky.
And so also funny. the noise of having a rave in those locations would be annoying and would be bad. But I don't think that the people who were would be upset about the noise would also be like super happy about all these people gyrating with a bunch of like spinning LEDs, kind of doing the I'm not touching. Yep. Yeah. Just rolling, doing the I'm not touching you version of a noise complaint.
Yeah. Just in general, I think that also, I don't know if it's just because of the job, but I wouldn't feel that comfortable dancing with headphones on.
No,
personally. Anywho, as in addition to that, Hatred sends Hank and Dean to live with their godfathers, as we mentioned, and then kind of has an emotional arc with 21.
Yes. Yeah. Where they, realize that they have something in common. What? It's unclear, but yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So as we alluded to, this was only accidentally a finale. They wrote the season premiere last, which ended up being a 2-parter, which ate up the slot that would have wrapped things up with Gargantua. And instead of, making, they decided to prize the premiere over the finale, which is fine because we got the special, and Gargantua 2 is great. So,
yeah, it's barely it like the way it came out and was marketed and everything was like a kind of just like a Venture Brothers movie almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it wasn't, but it's included as part of season 6 on everything, and it's necessary, but in error order, it aired really weirdly.
Yes.
When you would check out season 6, it just felt like a real sea change. It's mandatory material,
right?
Much more so than the Halloween special.
Yeah, and they end up paired up, which is weird. Yeah. So once they realized that this was going to be the finale, like, hey, we got no more road left, they decided to do an extended post-credits scene to kind of give a little bit more closure to some stuff. So, like, I love the conversation that Hank and Dean have. We'll talk about it when we get there.
The whole post-credit scene is very sweet.
Yes.
I'm a sucker for Sweet Venture Brothers. It's very sweethearted.
Yes.
They had planned on having the boys end up with their godfathers for a long time. The book, for some reason, is 90% about the big board.
Yep.
I have no idea what Doc Hammer's thinking about or going on about in this entry of the book. He spends, like, I would, no exaggeration, maybe 40% of his talk time talking about a whiteboard.
Yeah.
And it's really weird. I don't know if it comes off as more profound in his head or something like that. What is going on?
It comes across as kind of defensive. Like, he doesn't want to admit to doing something as corporate as having, like, a whiteboard where you do collaborative planning, Like, maybe that seems like an office thing, but the insistence that it is a big board, not a whiteboard, just because it is a very big whiteboard, it draws attention to itself.
It really, I saw myself in it because it felt defensive against somebody who doesn't exist, which is something that we do.
Right.
Like he made up somebody who'd be mad about them using a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Or something. It's really weird. There's all this stuff about the nomenclature, like, surfers may use a surfboard and they surf, but we have the big board and we big board. And, like, it's the insane ramblings of a madman. Like, it's the kind of thing that if he sidled up next to you in a Denny's and started talking to you about this, you would chew your arm off to leave.
Shows you a picture. Now, what would you call that? Oh, it's a whiteboard. Now, there's where you'd be wrong.
No one cares about this, my dude. It's incredible that it got published. It's one of the weirdest things to see print.
It's also not the first time that they've made this point, but they say, oh, our plan was to, like, keep stuff up there forever and to, like, color code it and stuff. But they erroneously say that colored dry erase markers don't erase. That they're like permanent or whatever. You need to do it quickly if you leave it up there, but you can just use some rubbing alcohol. Like, I have a whole rainbow of colors for my whiteboard here. Yeah. It's
also a thing where, because of the amount of time the number of time they're erasing and rewriting, I don't know what color coding would help.
Right.
With the way that they would do it. Like, if they're, doing a rotating plots on that, it's a very bizarre entry in the book.
If they can spend a lot of time on the whiteboard, we can too.
It's just very odd in terms of, like, background material, and we're going to run out of book.
Yeah,
at some point, pretty soon, actually.
Very, very strange point after the end of the 6th season.
Yeah, and then we're gonna miss that insight. But for now, it's like it still remains hilariously only semi-useful a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So the subplot in this with Hatred and 21 teaming up to rescue Rusty, they knew the end of it. They knew that it would end with the destruction of the cocoon and the Malice house that they have. They wanted to make Monarch homeless, but they weren't sure exactly what would happen.
Right.
Whether Hatred came back to rescue Rusty or whether he came back to get revenge on 21 for betraying him and rejoining the Monarch. And they're intentionally vague about a lot of the stuff in the book as well.
Yeah.
As a beat, it's one of my least favorite. It's my least favorite plot line, I think.
Yeah.
In the episode for me, and the least successful.
Yeah.
And it moves stuff. It moves furniture, I guess.
Yeah. It feels perfunctory, or done specifically for, like, utilitarian purposes. Like, we got to get stuff put in position. Yeah. We do get to meet a new character, kind of a minor one, who ends up being a little bit more important later on in the New York plotline stuff. But we're introduced to Rose, Rose Whalen, Billy's mother. aka Triple Threat. She was kind of a lady who was on the periphery of the old Team Venture.
Yeah, there were other superheroes at the time, so they knew each other, but you get the idea that they did not hang out, given that Action Man always carried a torch for her and never landed.
Yeah.
That. And as you mentioned, she's going to show up more. This is interesting. I love the way that they were talking about how fans figured out, after they figured this out, and it was just something they were trying to make obvious.
Yeah.
Fans were like, oh my God, connecting the dots. The Moppets are also tied up in this, in another plot that I find unsatisfying a little bit.
Yeah.
I love, and it's weird because they're both Doc episodes. Usually this kind of, messiness comes from when one writer writes something and the other one writes something.
Yeah.
But Doc is also the one who wrote the very good 21, realizing when he's trying to torture the Venture Brothers kids and realizing
yeah.
Nobody killed 24. This is just the lifestyle. And then now he kind of reverts because for some reason 21 is the character that they love to just like a record scratching.
Yeah.
Just forward and backwards constantly.
Yeah. And they're aware, they're aware of how erroneous this is. Not the decision to move him back, but how erroneous his reasoning is for the way he gets rid of the Moppets. In the book, they talk about it was it's like The Wire, the system killed 24. It was their it was everything tied together, right?
That felt like post hoc rationalization to me.
Yeah,
a little bit in the book. They're like, oh, he knows this, but maybe he doesn't, or maybe he's just saying this. It felt like, drawing a bullseye around where your arrow hit to me. A little bit. That was disappointing to me because I love that scene where he realizes it. It's good. I like 21 a lot, and they don't do good stuff with this character in the season. So that is a bummer. But I'm happy to see the Moppets gone because they did not have a place in the new world.
No, I can't imagine them knocking around in that shitty mansion.
No. So we start off with a cold open. Dean waking up in the desert with a note pinned to his chest from Sergeant Hatred, wanting to prepare the boys for the worst.
Yes.
Being prepared for the worst is his job. Immediately upon Doc getting hit by a disco ball, he drugged the boys and shipped them off to live with their godfathers.
I love that he drugged them as opposed to having the conversation with them. I'm real sorry, boys, but
boys.
Yeah. Didn't just ship him off a couple towns over. So you sent Dean to Africa to wake up on a lawn chair by the road.
It's very good.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, Rusty's lifeless husk, as he says in the note, was carried away by the Monarch. Again, maybe some sensitivity hatred. So Dean is in Tangiers. We learned this when Colonel Gentleman rolls up in his Jeep to grab him. And Hank is at Action Man's place in Boca Raton at this retirement home for retired villains where the adventure ends.
Super people.
Yeah, no, not villains. Sorry, yes, for super people, for old adventurers. I love the tagline for the place: "Where the adventure ends."
Yep. Yeah, there's lots of really great little background characters in this as well. Mm-hmm. Hatred ends the note saying, he's going to shoot himself and burn down the compound.
it's in a tone that's like, well, I'm going to shoot myself and burn down the compound.
That's a lie. It would just be the worst thing that would happen. I said it because I love you both so much. Signed Uncle Hatred.
This is abuse.
Yeah. He means well, though.
Yeah,
he means
that's
well.
the thing.
He means so well. But this enters, is the highlight of the episode is these characters together.
Yes.
Hank is introduced as the Action Man is doing a funeral for Entman.
Everybody's favorite character.
Yeah. This is where they're killing characters they don't know what to do. With this little box with his helmet tied to it. And he says it's the first of Team Venture to go. This is foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, oh, Jonas is. And this eulogy I love. It's this simple poem, but I love Action Man, can you turn it down a notch? Stop thinking with your action crotch. Your action crotch
is
just a beautiful comedy. It's cellar door.
Oh God, I love the. And when I sat for my repose, my rocker crushed you, and you began to decompose.
It's so funny. It's very good.
Oh man, but yeah, Edmund was around stopping Action Man from making bad decisions, or trying to, anyway.
Yeah, trying to and failing.
Yeah,
undoubtedly. Like just the worst roommate. Like I'd also watch a spinoff that was just Action Man and Ant-Man living in that house.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Oh man, just
Action Man makes the worst fucking noises when he's jerking off. Like when he's not stealth mode about it.
Yeah. It sounds like if Goofy had a smoking habit. Ooh,
yeah. Are you a little filly? And just like really going to town on the action crotch.
So he crushed him with his rocking chair, which is a really undignified way to go. And then he finishes the ceremony by pissing on the box/coffin. And then says, all right, well, Hank, you're the youngest, so you must fertilize the ground to represent new life.
Squat. Trow and squat. What a nightmare.
In the public. It's literally in like the front plaza of this retirement home. Yeah.
This is this weird world that is shared by the Venture Brothers and Jackass, where people can shit on command.
Oh my God.
Like no matter how public and no matter what the situation is, it's just like, yeah, take a shit. All right, you're the boss.
Yeah. I am. I've talked about being pee shy before. It's a pretty common affliction. I've never said I'm shit shy because you don't.
It's just implied. It's a condition we all share as the brotherhood of man. Like we don't like. Yeah, I can't just instantly just like I don't mind. I don't care who's about. I'm a soldier. I can shit anywhere and anytime. That's not real.
Oh my God.
Incredible.
When he says it's tradition. Fucking whose tradition?
Yeah, this is the first one to die. Yeah.
Oh man. Meanwhile, an ocean away, Colonel Gentleman has Dean. They're out at a bar restaurant kind of deal, and he's teaching Dean how to eat the local cuisine. He's got
like the sourdough bread that you get with like Ethiopian food.
Yeah. It's a flatbread. It's like you use to scoop up your couscous.
Couscous. Yeah, and Dean is not happy about this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to bread shaped bread. Just he's out of his element, and he's already unhappy, and then this thrown on top of it. A scarred mercenary comes over to menace Colonel Gentleman, kind of saying like, "Hey, old man, dating somebody super young this time, blah blah blah." Colonel Gentleman, what movie did they say this was from? It's Sean Connery from like Presidio. There we go.
Yeah, a movie I had not seen.
Yeah, he does. Sean Connery. This is just pulled from that, where Colonel Gentleman says, I'll show you how past my prime I am. I'll kill you with a thumb.
Yeah. Excuse me, Dean. Someone wants to dance with your pop. And he cuts off, his thumb and then jams into the guy's eye.
Yeah, cuts off his arm.
Cuts off his arm, and then jams his thumb into him, and he says, "I never said it would be my thumb."
Yeah,
I love badass Colonel Gentleman, who is also just like an absolute nightmare. Oh yeah, his home life. Like again, imagine living with this guy. I would still watch it, but just wow, Dean got the shitty end of the stick.
Yeah. Also, I love how appropriate it is that he has this really ornate sword cane. It is the perfect fit for him.
21's an idiot again, as we've established now. So he's camping in the woods, roasting an animal, and Sergeant Hatred comes up and he threatens to shoot him with a stick, the kind of thing ultra competent 21 would never do.
Yep.
Again, just absolutely silly. And he's like, "How did you find me?" Again, he's an idiot. He thinks he's stealthy. Yeah. When he's not, because now he sucks.
Yeah. They're camping on my property. How dumb do you think I am? Very. So they're, they've been bickering. They've been pestering each other for the whole season. And Hatred explains like, "Hey, the Monarch has Rusty, and I need your help to go get him back. Just the place, you probably want to stick it to your old boss, etc. Are you in?" And 21 is in. And he's like, "All right, lock and load." And he it acts like he's cocking a shotgun with his little stick. He makes the noise. And Hatred asked, did you just cock your stick? Which is a fun joke. I like that. But also it is predicated on 21 isn't this dumb. He's immature, but he's not this dumb.
Yeah. I feel like I've just seen a variation of the cocking the fake thing so many times. This felt trite to me.
I mean, about 60% of the time when I pick up a broom in my house to go do some cleaning, I rack it like a shotgun.
The joke that me and my friends used to always make was how you could cock a gun without shooting it in movies.
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, let's lock and load, and you would cock the gun, and then you would run up, and then the enemy wouldn't be there or whatever. So you'd be like, looks like you got away. And then you'd run to the next area and just like, I see the tracks. Let's go. And just continually cock the gun without ever firing it.
Stop. The bullet's already in the chamber.
just like it's an air rifle.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be extra bullet. So the Monarch plot starts here. The Monarch calls out to Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, wanting to get impatient. He wants to get started on the torture. Mm-hmm. He's running through all of his ideas. He's got a list here. It's a freeze frame kind of bonus here. Talking about an ice knife, and he's kind of got his own notes on him where he's rejecting all the things in advance.
Yeah, it's like drive to a bad neighborhood and shout racial epithets, stuff like that. Just ways to get him hurt. I like as I was making these notes, I forgot this is where it went. I was like, oh, that Marathon Man poll is really good. But then it becomes
I've never seen Marathon Man.
Oh, it's good.
But the same poll happens in Gremlins too.
Oh,
the wacky gremlin is about to perform conscious dentistry on Billy Peltzer.
You mean dental torture? Dental torture.
Dental torture, and says, "Is it safe?"
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh, I've never seen that." And I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, nerd, I don't know Marathon Man."
Mm-hmm. It's good.
It's a big blind spot.
So it is a high energy caper, and by high energy I mean it was made in 1976, so it is weirdly slow paced.
Yes, there's lots of walking, lots of long. You like pauses. 70s cinema.
You're gonna watch a man take off his coat and make some coffee.
Yeah, the guy's gonna walk down a hallway in real time. 70s cinema. Yeah.
Oh man.
So the reason why they're not together and he can't start yet is Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch is patching up Rusty because the guild says you can't torture somebody who's severely injured.
Right. So they got to get him in get him in fighting condition so they can start putting the screws to him. And she is kind of giving it to him, saying like, hey, whatever the Monarch does to you, if he tickles you with a feather, you're going to scream in agony. You're going to try to escape just so my husband, can chase you because I love him and this is important to him. And if you don't do this, I'll straight up slit your throat.
Yeah. Rusty is in flirt mode, like he always is with Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, kind of flirting with her and not taking any of it very seriously.
Yeah.
She is going to pop his hip back in a joint, ask if he's allergic to anesthesia. And he says, no, but also can I get a happy ending? Can you jerk me off? Your hip's dislocated, my man. It's so weird.
Yeah. Like, maybe address that first before you ask somebody to take you down to the Hojos,
Yeah. How are you thinking about getting your ding dong squirted? So she just resets it without numbing him. And the Monarch's like, oh, don't start without me. Again, this feels a little sticky to me. It's fine.
Yeah. Cut back to the Action Man. Action Man has set Hank up with his base, and this is part of a plot. They're in like the day room or the community room. He has this plot to get in with a woman that he likes, Rose. He walks over and starts talking in a very maudlin fashion about how he's grieving. Oh, this has been a hell of a year. I've lost my wife. I lost my best friend, and now my grandson is addicted to rock and roll.
Or my son, my son is addicted to rock and roll. The devil's music. I wish he could get into show tunes, and I love Hank just being like wingman, instant, up for it. So Hank comes over wearing the base, and he's like, "Can you give me records to buy money with clear warning labels, and I can try some reefer cigarettes?" And doing his whole devil's rock and roll bit. Yeah. And Rose is a parody of an old lady. She's gasps at this point.
She's scandalized.
Like, "Oh, you're in the devil's grip," which is where the the episode title comes from.
Yeah. And so, Hank plays up his conversion here. He's not going to, go and smoke some reefer cigarette marijuanas. He's going to solve problems with dance and singing. Right.
Yep. Which obviously appeals to Triple Threat.
Yeah.
And he lays up, for Action Man. Like, you guys make a great team. Can we have her over for dinner? And Action Man's like, I don't know. She's probably too. And then Rose accepts. She's very happy.
Yes.
About it. It worked. Hank is the consummate wingman.
Yeah. Hank is having a good time. Dina's having a very weird time.
In my head, I just thought Hank could get ice laid in the desert. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
Like, I don't want that. That Hank, he can get ice laid in the desert.
If you said it, I would have like nodded and just kind of let the nonsense of that stand. But the fact that you've asked me, like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, does it? No, it doesn't.
It was weirdly Hank-esque phrase, like there.
Oh God!
Yeah, over Tangiers, Dean is being tortured. Just immediately given like the worst chores.
Yup. So I love this, and I forget if it's in the commentary.
So goddamn good.
I forget if it's in the commentary or if it's in the book, because it's a weirdly long entry for this episode. But they're talking about like, oh, Colonel Gentleman, he's amazed by television, but he doesn't understand it, so he's vexed by it.
That's in the commentary. It's on 24 hours. I can't see it all. Yeah.
How are all these things on at once? Yeah.
Show multiple shows at once.
Yeah. So so what he's having Dean do is go through all of these tapes of Sabrina the Teenage Witch to mark the time code for where Salem the cat shows up. Minute and second, and then also which appearances are a real cat and which of them are that crappy puppet.
Yeah, just using a stopwatch. It's so much. And Dean, are all these tapes Sabrina the Teenage Witch? Of course. It was the only show that starred Salem the cat.
Just this fascination, and then just like the fact that this is what we get, and it's very funny, and then just like we get the unsaid stuff, the rationalizations. It's like, well, like he would be pissed off at that shitty puppet, right? Because Doc was pissed off at the shitty puppet, and he would be delighted when he saw the real cat. And so this is just a manifestation of like indignity, like, oh, if you're gonna do it right. You're gonna train that goddamn cat.
Yeah, I like that added bit, but I like it. I think I like the show more without it.
Yes.
It feels of a piece with him entering his dog into really elaborate costume contests, as historical incidents, like just Colonel Gentleman being the weirdest character on this fucking show.
and I would say like also like the most self-possessed and happy, but like something that I like about this is the revelation that he's miserable. He's not aging gracefully. Yeah. And just I like that commonality between him and Colonel Gentleman, kind of this the parallel of like trying to renegotiate and be happier in their final years, Yeah.
Yep. So after he's done with this, he has to take dictation for the third installment of I, Gentleman, his memoirs, which we get a really good flashback around that. Coming back to the 21 Hatred plot, they're in the cocoon. Hatred's stuck in a vent. There's some slapstick here. The Monarch left the room untouched and dropped a Guild Calamity Conference t-shirt for him. Mm-hmm. So 21 is now like, oh, I miss it here.
Yeah.
Forgetting everything.
Yes. Forgetting all of the neglect and straight up indifference to whether he lives or dies.
And being around the Monarch, or misses the Monarch who he's in love with, which was very difficult. The budget stuff, all the good track they laid, ruined.
Yeah.
21 asks Hatred why Hatred stays around when Venture treats him like crap. And he says he's fighting for what he cares about. And he says, what do you care about? Fighting. And this is supposed to be the, like, we're not so different, you and I moment. But the character development on both these characters in this episode is dog shit.
Yeah.
It's some of the worst stuff I think they've done in the show as far as character work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really pretty bad, I think.
Yeah.
It's not, some of it's funny and it's fine. It's us taking a cartoon too seriously. I get it. But I've said it before. One of the things I love about the Venture Brothers is that it has a real eye for character. Mm-hmm. And so when they miss that, it's like something that I think is essential to the show that's missing.
Yeah. And it leaves a noticeable vacuum. Right. And so, and it's also frustrating when something feels unearned. So they get to they get to what is a, pretty cliche character beat, but it can serve a purpose, which is, we're not so different, you and I, or we have this, we have this thing in common that, kind of makes this unlikely thing make sense. I learned something about you and I learned something about myself. Pretty basic two characters interacting kind of stuff. It's never said what it is because 21 doesn't care, like he's not driven by the fight, right? Not in the way that that Hatred is.
He could have been if they kept his character the way, like, ultra professional mode. That would have been a direction that 21 could have ended up at. Yeah. Instead of this weird no man's land he's in now.
Yeah. And, instead they turned him in the Kyle Clubhouse. And, it's tough. He's having an identity crisis and he ultimately settles back at the status quo. But that identity crisis is like the walkthrough, it is super jittery and unstable.
It reminds me a little bit of Doc Hammer's writing on the show. Sometimes reminds me of Peter Milligan writing in comics, where like he's phenomenal when he can just do whatever he wants and he's writing about stuff he likes. Mm-hmm. But the nature of the job means that you sometimes have to write about stuff you're not interested in. Mm-hmm. And there's a noticeable difference, when it's not like, and they talk about he had like pages and pages of like Colonel Gentleman stuff. Mm-hmm. And he did all this research for the torture stuff. And this so clearly feels like an afterthought plot line of this. And the explanation of the book and the commentary is really wishy-washy about this stuff. I just get the sense that Doc just didn't care about it that much. Yeah. And, not in a like, that guy's slacking on his duty, just it wasn't his passion.
Right. Right.
And it just makes me wonder whether it was like necessary at all. Yeah. To include this, like whether, there would have been other ways to get where they needed to go.
Mm-hmm. And also you see opportunities, right? So like, oh man, you really don't like writing that particular stuff or like plotting stuff isn't necessarily your thing. Oh, well, Jackson's really good at that. Like if you two work together and like Jackson plotted stuff out and you provided, the cool details and the fixation on the, the guild lore and stuff, you two kind of like offset each other, right? Or like, just punch this up and, give me like this nice emotional interaction between Doc and Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, right?
Team up.
Yep. Team up, baby.
Yeah. And it's just interesting the way that like sometimes their writing method of just kind of not working together works pretty well, and sometimes it ends up being kind of silly.
It leads to an inconsistency, and just take your Strength Finder 2.0, pay the exorbitant price to do that personality test. You don't you don't get anywhere by leaning into your weakness. Lean into your strengths.
Yeah. It's mildly disappointing. It ends up being fine because
it's still a good episode. Fine. Yeah.
The episode is fine, and like ultimately, the show remains great. Like they still do good stuff. It just bummed me out because I love those moments so much.
Yeah. Especially us having the sickness of getting extremely close to it and kind of noticing these dynamics play out.
Yeah.
It's hard.
We're completely fucked.
It's hard to stop saying, "Oh yeah, no, there's no hope."
It's not necessarily the way that the show is meant to be viewed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Hatred gets into 21's toy cabinet and pulls out 21's old uniform. 21 is wearing the competent 21 suit with the shredded arms and stuff like that. Hatred gets into the tubby one, and it smells like soup because it is stained with the soup.
Yeah. Yep. Again, a little sticky.
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. We go back to the torture scene with the Monarch and Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch dressed up as kind of Fu Manchu-esque villains, Ming the Merciless, style costumes. And when the Monarch comes in, he looks very menacing, but Rusty is blindfolded. He says, "Who's that?" A little sticky. But then I do like this little bit with the, we Westerners know nothing of torture. We simply nail a man's balls to a chair.
Where's the poetry?
The thing that constantly happens is having your balls nailed to a chair. That's very good.
Oh man. But he's doing this to lead into, this huge speech about the bell. This is one of the entries on the list there. And this is pulled from, I forget what it was. It's like an old decadent, like French decadent literature book, like the history of torture or something like that. Where like a bunch of this stuff was described, and this bell descends, and the Monarch is giving this speech about how, like, oh, your bones are going to twist, your blood vessels will burst, this will reduce you to jelly. Rusty can't hear this though because he's inside a fucking bell, and also he can't see what's happening.
They ring the bell, and I love this little bit with Flying Squid and Antimatter outside talking about the gong sounds, saying they're cranking a Mike Oldfield album. That's very funny.
Good pull.
Yeah, very good pull. Very accurate. The Monarch raises the bell. It didn't liquefy his bones, and it didn't hurt Rusty. He spent his childhood in a supersonic jet. His hearing is already shit.
Yeah.
But Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch says, no, act it up. And, clears her throat, and Rusty starts playing up his pain in kind of a shitty way.
Yeah. In a very transparent way. So we got to move on to the next one.
Yeah. And then we get this amazing scene. Again, like everything with this stuff is great. This old tape of Team Venture fighting Brainiolo. I love him just being like, Brainiolo. Yeah, he's like, you won't believe your next opponents because we won't fight each other, Brainiolo.
Oh, that would be a very good idea.
I wish I had thought of that, but instead he brings their crushes up. So we get Triple Threat and Jas, who are kind of a Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers scene. This is where you get to like, no one for humunguloid. Like, come on, be realistic, big guy.
Come on.
So sad.
Oh, poor Edmund.
No one for humunguloid.
And I love Action Man just like saying, really, you like Jas? I thought Jas was like an actual person because so many of the people that Colonel Gentleman alludes to are actual people. This is just another superhero that
could be Fred Astaire.
Oh, probably his secret identity, which is the old timey pronunciation of jazz.
Yeah, jazz.
But I love Colonel Gentleman's line here, trying to, explaining why he has a crush. Oh, he's like a blade of sexual grass swaying in the breeze, arrow straight.
Yeah. When he's like, you're in the Triple Threat, huh? He's like, it's that goody thing. I just want to go animal on her, show her my filth. Just like really good. As is happening, as they're about to fight, the bell rings, and we do that thing where the flashback notices I always like that, like the cartoon that we're being shown. It's like, oh, it's the door. And Colonel Gentleman's like, take a moment. It's Kiki. That Amber Tramp's been playing me for a fool for years. I don't know how problematic it is, but all of the Kiki stuff I think is very funny. Yeah. And I it can say something bad about me. I don't, but it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, like one of my early like big laughs in the commentary is where like Colonel Gentleman is not like he's gay, but he's also just everything he's so confident. He's like, of course I want to fuck Kiki. Look at him, he's beautiful. Like, just being the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah, it's
I love Colonel Gentleman's steez.
Yeah, I like it's like an Archer. Just there's a plot has people lining up to have sex with Lana because she's trying to get revenge on Cyril. And Ray, the out gay character in the office there, he lines up and they're like, wait a minute, aren't you gay? He's like, come on, look at her. Nobody's that gay.
yeah. Look at her. It's just a joke that works for me. I understand that sexuality doesn't work that way.
Yeah. But yes. I don't know. I just like the belligerence of their relationship and how it is always this tempestuous. You know,
Yeah.
like it's never been shown to be
like
good.
A non-stop, just messy drama. You know.
Oh God. But yes. So we cut back over to Boca. Action Man says, to Hank, like, I've been trying to nail Rose for years. This cut, like talking about it, all in a row makes it seem super obvious. Okay, he was talking about triple threat, and then here's Rose. And he's setting up a card table in his condo bedroom for them to eat Swanson, or whatever, frozen dinners, right?
Yeah.
Hank names his price, hey,
if you can get me with her, you can name your own price. Mm-hmm. He wants a new base. He wants a ticket back home, because this place smells like Dinty Moore beef stew, which is a poll. That is a very specific smell. I think it's one of the closest things to cat food a human can eat.
Yep. No,
other than cat food.
It's not good.
Yeah. I remember loving it. Like, I would fucking
it's salty.
fuck up a can of Dinty Moore. It's got that good salt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. Man, salt is good. It tastes so good.
Yeah.
Give me salt.
No.
Give me salt. Give me fire. Give me that which I desire. Ugh.
What the fuck are you talking about?
That's Fuel by Metallica.
Oh.
But just the beginning of that song. That album for the Load era of Metallica, I was watching a lot of MTV.
Okay.
So the beginning of that, and then I also a lot of times, like, Pocket will, like, fall off a couch or something, and I'll walk out to him and go, "Where's your crown, King? Nothing." Which is a Metallica thing as well. I hate Metallica as a band. They're wretched, but it's just stuck in my head.
I wrote Metallica off. It might have been around that same era, but it was when Mission Impossible 2 came out, and the music video for Disappear was playing. As soon as I belong, I disappear.
Deeply embarrassing fucking band.
Yeah, just that video was Tom Cruise climbing up the side of a very sheer, like, plateau cliff, like one of those like weird little spires out there, with Metallica just playing on the top, just rocking in the desert for nobody.
Yeah, just climbing up to ask them to turn it down.
And I was like 12, and I'm like, this is silly.
So back in the torture sphere, or in the cocoon, 21 and Hatred are sneaking through the halls. One of the Hatreds, or henchmen, catches Hatred thinking he's 21 because he's wearing his old uniform. Mm-hmm. Saying, this place has sucked since you left, but he sees the V of the Vader and starts getting suspicious.
Yeah, asks a question, and Hatred, doesn't. Oh, it's icicles. But 21 comes up behind him and knocks him out. Like, WT, fuck, you just made me knock out a guy on my softball team. What softball team? Or what was on a softball team? Yeah.
Here. No. Yeah. So Hatred starts, being very tearing up that 21 saved him.
Yeah.
Here and goes for a big hug. 21 tells him to go check on the cell blocks below. Like, while it is within Hatred to just, like, seek family, and I think this also feels very quick.
Yeah.
For him just to cry about, they're on a mission.
Yeah, it's for the success of the mission. Eyes on the prize, man. Yeah.
Yep.
So as they walk away, the video communicator that the henchman was carrying pops on. Kevin saw what happened. So they're caught and they don't know it just yet. Over in the house, in the torture room, the Monarch is in a white medical coat firing up a dentist drill, doing the scene from Marathon Man. For the context, Laurence Olivier plays, I think, a former Nazi. He's not a
former Nazi.
Yeah. Torturing. Oh gosh, what's his name?
Dustin Hoffman?
Dustin Hoffman. There we go. I was about to say Dennis Hopper, and I know that's not right.
I've never seen the movie. I just read the Wikipedia.
Yeah. But Dustin Hoffman knows where the stash of diamonds, Nazi diamonds are. Torturing him to try and get the location of those diamonds. First, he
70s movies where you get to watch somebody make a pot of coffee in real time, and there's always diamonds.
Yep.
There's like a diamond heist everywhere.
Oh man. But that's what they're doing here, trying to get it here. And he's doing the lines from it like, oh, we're not going to go into that hole that I punched earlier. That nerve is dead. We're going to go into a fresh tooth. I wouldn't kill a dead tooth. And he goes to drill into the tooth, but he's repelled by Rusty's breath.
Well, where in Marathon Man, who says is it safe, and what are they referring to?
Asking about, like, okay, are the diamonds safe? Like, is it, like it just like what have you done? Like, can we get them? Like, and he asks it, it becomes like a refrain. It becomes very elitist. He keeps on asking it because Dustin Hoffman's not giving them anything.
Yeah, despite the torture. Okay, got you.
Yes.
We get this mouth's eye view thing when Rusty's got this horrible breath. I love, like, how can you stand even having that be your mouth?
Yeah. And I don't know. Like, you captured me. You didn't give me a chance to brush my teeth, and I had shrimp with garlic butter last night. Rusty didn't do anything wrong.
No, but I'm sure his breath like super reeks.
Yeah.
So we get Colonel Gentleman getting into a fight with Kiki
right in front
again.
of Dean.
Right in front of Dean. What torture! Like, just absolutely miserable. This whole thing. Kiki thinks that Dean is his new boyfriend. He's my son. How dare you? Kiki leaves, and Dean's like, "Okay, let's get back. I've started a new chapter for one of your lists." And again, the great, toys he wishes he had, and, people who like birds he'd give a smack,
Stay alive, the survival game.
Yeah. Very good.
Oh man. But Colonel Gentleman pours himself a drink and he gets real wistful. Dean asks him, "Hey, do you want to wait until later?" But Colonel Gentleman starts up with his list of things you should never do. Number 1, don't get involved with someone a third your age. I love Dean's response. "I can safely promise I won't get involved with a 6-year-old."
And Colonel Gentleman is very sad. He's like, don't retire to someone where your sexual preference is a capital offense.
Yeah.
Talking about how this is where all the famous homosexuals used to live.
Mm-hmm.
People would go here.
Yeah.
Ginsburg, that eager little puppy.
Yeah. Capote, Forbes, just all these folks who used to be here, and now he's the last one left. The
main character of The Longest Journey 2. Like, everyone retires to Tangiers.
Yeah, but just he's standing there looking at the mountains where the wave crested and then receded. It's he's overstayed his welcome. And Dean's like, "Should I be writing this down?" Yeah, should I be writing this down? Dean asks. Of course. So this is Colonel Gentleman speaking aloud, something that he's known for a while.
Yeah. So Hatred's in the cell blocks. Kevin and other henchmen get the jump on him, and they're doing their reverse psychology, or not the reverse psychology, like the your compadre ratted you out.
Yeah, trying to do like a prisoner's dilemma kind of deal. Like, okay,
yes,
come along with us. Yeah.
Rusty's been tortured, and Fat Boy has been playing you the whole time.
Right.
And they throw Hatred out the garbage chute, which is a little psychological torture for no reason. 21 walks in the throne room, and Tim Tom is on the command console, calling in, and he does the same thing. Like, he says, "Oh, Hatred just sold you out." Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, well, throws him the handcuffs and says, "Put these on and we'll go to the Monarch and see how he wants to punish you." 21 fires back, "Oh yeah, let's go there so I can tell the Monarch what you're up to. You've taken over the cocoon." He'll believe his best henchman over a lying murderer.
Yeah. Again, just immense amounts of backtracking.
Yeah.
They're a murderer. The other henchmen come in, and the Tim Tom is going to sick them on 21, and 21 gets them over on his side by saying they broke the most sacred law by killing henchman 24.
Yeah.
Hench has killed Hench, Little Planet of the Apes reference here. And the henchmen, who previously had all gotten fucking bodied by Tim Tom. Canonically, the henchmen cannot fight the Moppets.
Yeah,
the Moppets are too strong. This happened at the end of season 2. Or season 2 or season 3, I can't remember.
Season 3, it was Cremation Creek.
Yes. So they cannot do this. But the henchmen converge on Tim Tom winning this time.
Yeah. We presume Kevin got it as well. Because the Moppets are out of the picture. God damn, if they in the movie make it so that
Moppets come back,
make it so that Kevin's back for revenge, because we never see him die.
I was very surprised that they were so adamant that they had died in the book, because I was like, I don't remember that. Watching the episode, and it's kind of implied, but implied in a fake way. It's implied almost to be fake, by not seeing the bodies. You know, so yeah, I don't know. I don't care that much because I'm not very invested in the Moppets. You know, like they're funny at first.
Yeah, but
you know, so
yeah, so into the torture room. Monarch is struggling. He's trying to plug in a power cord to reach an outlet. He's got Rusty tied onto a table saw.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
this scene is good.
I love this. Think.
Yeah. This is the good stuff. You know, the Monarch's like, I'm done. You can go home. He starts tying him up. And Rusty says, you know, it's about time Team Venture came for me. He's like, nobody came. Like, nobody answered my calls. And he starts psychologically torturing him. Like, we're both losers and wash-ups. You know, our subordinates have left us. My wife is about to be my boss. You know, like, just go home. I mean, can you even call it a home? I guess it's just a box of memories to die in. You know,
it's so good. And just like, the voice acting on the Monarch is just amazing. He really sells the defeat. You know, like it's not even dramatic or anything. Just the resignation, the complete deflation that has happened there. You know, where like, part of it's real. He's definitely doing this intentionally. But like, there's definitely a kernel of truth in it. I believe is my interpretation.
Yeah, there has to be.
Right. He has to be pulling this from somewhere, but he knows that because he's in control of the situation, it's going to hurt Rusty more. And Rusty is generally more insecure than him anyway. So it's like, you're not even worth torturing. You know, I'm pathetic. And if I'm pathetic and I say you're not worth torturing, think about how much more pathetic that must make you. You know, all of these assumptions, all of these conclusions that he is putting into Rusty's head without even saying them out loud.
Yeah. It's very good. We cut over to Action Man trying to seal the deal with Rose. You know, she's like, you're too different. You're a womanizer and you're a junkie. And he's like, I'm not. I stayed with Janie until she died. I'm not a junkie. It's super soldier serum. Jonas had me on jump juice for good of flag and country. I love the idea of him being a junkie because he's.
And also just like I like this as just another piece of Jonas's bastardry, right? Action Man could have left, but just the idea that, you know, he was hooked and Jonas was his supplier.
Oh yeah, Jonas, the biggest villain of the show.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're fighting about this, and Hank comes in and goes, I recognize your voice. Do you have a son named Billy? She's like, yes, my little water baby. I haven't seen him in years. He moved in with a man. He thinks he'll disapprove of his lifestyle choice. And Hank's like, no, well, he's my neighbor. You know, we can come visit him if you take me home, you know, sealing the deal and sealing his part of the bargain.
Yeah. He's already got his Fender Music Man bass. So,
yes. Yeah. Very cute. So we get into this very kind of rushed climax before the end credits thing.
Yeah.
Rusty's walking home.
I love that he doesn't have a ride. Like the Monarch can't even give him a ride because he has to make it look like Rusty ran away. And that's where Rusty says, God, I like being tortured more than this here. This is
Yeah. He thinks a car is coming, but it's actually the hover tank. And it's hatred on the sauce and trying to get revenge on 21.
Yes. Yeah. So the Monarch is sitting on the table, looking at the photo of him and Rusty playing together as kids, that thread that was put out and then not developed. And then Dr. Mrs. Monarch kind of barges in saying, hey, he's escaped. You know, he's running away. And she asked, like, well, you know, why would you let him go? And this is where the prestige is revealed, because I broke him.
Yeah. It's hard to say, like in the book, he's like, people ask me whether the Monarch was backtracking at all with this or whether this was always his plan. I don't think it was always his plan.
I think after the first couple failed, it was like, all right, my strategies are not going to work. I need to adapt.
It feels a little bit, again, a little post hoc to me. Like, I like it as a thing and it's a great scene and a great move. You know, for him to do it, it does feel a little post hoc to me.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, this is not the first. This is probably the least cartoonish way he's done it, but the Monarch has a habit of turning colossal failure into a claim of success. He's like a fucking cat falling and pretending that he meant to do that by just going to licking his paws.
Kind of weird Dermot energy almost.
Yep. It's all delusion, right?
So they're about to do it. And 21 walks in saying that he's home. Again, hate this. 21, nothing's changed, man. This is the reason why you left.
Yeah.
Like, Hatred rolls up in the tank and is over the loudspeaker, complaining about Gary, betraying him, and starts crashing into the cocoon.
Well, he
fires shells.
He points the turret up at it, and then he accidentally fires the shells into the cocoon, shooting it down, and then it falls into the house. Yeah.
And in terms of weird stuff in the book that ends up feeling again like kind of post hoc, this is also a thing that feels a little bit defensive to me. Where like he's like, oh, it's so human for him just to accidentally do this, and it's such a mistake for him to do this. Like it feels like a little defensive about what I think is probably the messiest character arc in this season.
Yeah.
Here, so the Monarch, Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch, and 21 make it out. They walk out on the post lawn. Like, thank God we're alive. And Monarch says, "Who the fuck is Gary?" Again. Which is fine. Cute little joke. That's where we cut the credits on. Like, he doesn't know who 21 even is. It just makes 21's story feel worse to me.
Yeah.
Nothing changed. The Monarch didn't change. And 21 changed back in an unmotivated way.
Yeah. No lesson.
So, yep. No lesson. Just let's put the stuff back.
Yeah. So we get the post credits. The Monarch and company move in to the decrepit New Jersey mansion that he grew up in Newark, actually based on a real house. And this is also the place. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the place where Phantom Limb had set up their Revenge Society?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. And then they get out of there.
Gotcha.
And Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch is like, it's so romantic. To move back into there, and 21 says it looks like a place where wet Japanese long-haired
ghosts,
blonde black-haired wet Japanese ghost would live.
Would crawl on the ceiling.
Thing. So they're going in there, and we cut over to the more successful post-credits thing, I think, where the Ventures are having their real funeral. They've relocated the corpse of Entman to the compound.
Yeah, giving him like a proper grave marker and stuff like that.
Yeah. Billy says, Pete's like, you told your mom we were gay? And Billy's like, I didn't tell her we were gay. I just didn't deny it. She says that China and that sideboard. You love that sideboard.
A good sideboard's nice. And they're expensive too. Come on.
And she comes over and she's like, oh, he's just as handsome as you said. Like, you said I was handsome? It's like very sweet.
I just love the fact that just Pete is completely assuaged by the vanity.
The compliment.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I wish that more was done with Pete's similarity to Rusty, but
yeah. Pete never gets a highlight.
Nope.
In the show as it is, like he's always just kind of like it's the kind of character that it feels a little bit like they have contempt for, but they don't kill him off,
right?
Because they love Billy and they need somebody for Billy to play off of.
Yeah. And he gets a lot of funny, jokes, but he is
sides.
Yeah, he is jokey joke. The closest thing he gets to a highlight is
Billy's origin.
Yeah, Billy's origin.
The Quiz Boy episode. The Colonel Gentleman has an old brownstone in New York. Invites Action Man to be his roommate. With Rose. He's like, if you don't mind the sound of old people having sex, you get yourself a roommate. That would be a nightmare place to live as well, just because of all the old people sex in general.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, you can't imagine that that Colonel Gentleman is gonna settle
he's
down.
Not chased all of a sudden.
No, he's in New York. Come on.
Yeah.
So
all kinds of Colonel Gentlemacy.
Anyway, Hank goes over by the fountain to confront Dean, saying like, "Hey, you've been a mess this whole year." He walks up saying like, you look like somebody just died." Like, "Yeah, we are at a funeral, but no, you've looked like somebody's died the whole year. Like, what's going on? You got to tell me what's eating you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he reveals like we're clones, like the real Hank and Dean are dead. We've died like 13 times. And Hank, of course, isn't upset.
No.
Like he thinks this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, because Hank's got the good attitude and he kind of convinces Dean. One of the things that I think is kind of, so Dean's arc in this moves from one kind of dour to another.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like he's this dour for the clone stuff. And then he immediately is, I want to be a normal kid dour. In season 6 and 7, which it's kind of, you know, when we talked about how season 4 is the end of fun Dean, it's not like, I remember that this arc ends, but he just moves into another not fun arc.
Yeah. It's,
you know,
he's
kind
less,
of a bummer.
He's less tormented and there's kind of some good, like fish out of water, stuff, but you know,
they stopped making him funny, like at all.
Yeah.
You know, and it just, it's actually like, you know, they just are so much more interested in Hank, and Hank's great.
Yeah.
And the Hank stuff in season 6 and 7 is great. You know, but it is a Dean stan.
Yeah.
It's just a little sad. That fun Dean is still long dead, even after his brother trying to shake him out of this.
Yeah. You know, I like Hank's, you know, kind of thing, because it's proceeding from a point of like, so much ridiculous stuff happens to us. Like, you know, like
why is this the straw that broke the back?
Yeah.
You know, why is this the thing?
It's just another thing that makes it awesome that we're ventures, right? Kind of like what Ben told Dean up on the roof, right? You know, so like it's like, yeah, no, just like it's really awesome. I am a super cool, probably magic Highlander clone.
Yeah, he's into it, you know, and it just wakes Dean up a little bit.
Yeah.
They're gonna pee on the burial marker, the old men, including Rusty. You know, it's very sweet. And then they're like, you know, "Oh, Rusty, you're no longer the youngest." And they call Dino over. Hank's like, "You're gonna love this." It's a great little bit. And then they just show a little like birdland on the statue. It's a very sweet little moment.
Yeah.
You know, everything's all right.
Until Gargantua, where everything is completely
everything's
upset.
gonna become not all right.
Yeah. But that was a conclusion of season 5. I mean, then Gargantua sits in between. We're gonna talk about it as part of season 5 before the wrap up. But
yeah, and then we'll do the wrap up. But it's a tricky season. You know, like in some ways it's a little bit funnier than I remembered. Like there are things that I thought were in other seasons, that are actually in season 5 that are like generally pretty fun. Good. However, there are also just a lot of it's really just the 21 character stuff that bugs me the most.
Yeah. That's that's the most regrettable, because specifically in season 4 he was real good.
Yeah. But, you know, and that is a big bummer. I don't really think they know what to do with hatred during the season, and I don't like all the shuffling of stuff in for OSI.
Yeah.
Like putting your toys back never feels good. Like even if it's necessary. And I just feel like I couldn't shake the feeling that there might have been a better way to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
So, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you. We'll be back with a 2-parter on all this in Gargantua 2. Decided to split that up because they basically climax all of the plot lines from the first 5 seasons.
Yes, they do. We're going to have a guest, right?
Indeed. Gwen Static, the composer of our theme song, she will be on our episodes for that. Returning guest, but also we love Gwen. So nothing wrong with that.
No.
And then we will be getting into season 6. If you have thoughts about season 5, hit us up.
Yeah.
Because we'll be doing that wrap-up episode as well after Gargantua.
Yes, we will. Go to duckfeed.tv/contact and choose orb and write in. Try and keep it confined to season 5 if at all possible, or specific episodes therein. Kind of the rules guidelines from other shows. What makes us really like a response is the goddamn law. No. Yeah. What we like to see is relatively brief, you know, like 2-paragraph write-ins that are not broad reviews of a whole work, but are specific. Yeah, indeed.
And that's basically about it. Ratings, reviews are useful. Going to patreon.com/duckfeed.tv Getting episodes a week early is useful and fun. And until next time,
go Team Venture.